In this video, I'm going to take you through how we can utilize this online application for controlling a microbit robot. So this is a user interface from a web browser that we can take its messages and use it to apply to a microbit robotics project. So as you can see, there's a number of directional arrows, a horn, and a couple of sliders. And we can use these messages to give a microbit robotics project a bit of remote controlled life. So in order to receive these messages, we need to create a program for our microbit. And this is a template that I've prepared that you can modify and add to give your microbit some added functionality. Well, first we'll start by unpacking what each of these blocks does and then how you can start to apply your own changes to make your own robot unique. So it's going to firstly start by setting Bluetooth as a service. So it basically enables Bluetooth and enables it to receive Bluetooth messages. And when it first boots up, we'll see a square. So we know that it is actually turned on and running. When we connect our microbit to the web browser via Bluetooth and it successfully connects, we'll see a smiley face. So if you don't see a smiley face, your microbit is not connected to the remote controller. If it has disconnected for any reason, it will show a cross. So that will be why it is not working. So the app itself sends what are called strings, in other words, messages in text. So just like you get text from a book, this is going to be sending messages as words, as messages. So the potential messages that it does send are all listed here. So it's going to send the word horn when you click on the horn button. It is going to send the word up when you click on the up arrow, down arrow, left, right. And after each of these, it also sends the message to stop. So when you click the horn, it will send the word horn, and it will also, after a short period, also send the word stop. So that whatever instruction you give it, it also will stop directly after that. The sliders operate a little bit differently. These are sending a value in the form of a text between 0 and 180. So 180 being all the way on the right hand side and 0 all the way on the left hand side, with 90 being in the middle. These are really good for controlling things like servo motors. So it will send either X and a value between 0 and 180, or it will send the letter C as the second slider with a value between 0 and 180. So for example, currently this one would be sending X0 and this one would be sending C180. In order to do something with these messages, we have to create some logic. So this is what this block here is doing. So when a Bluetooth message is received, it's storing that in a temporary variable so that we can then do some processing with it. So horn is a message that is sent, it saves it into this variable, and then we use that variable to check in these if statements. So if we have a look, the word is horn, it's reading the word and it does equal the word horn. In this program, it's going to show a little musical note and then play a sound. Now, you don't have to get it to do these two particular things. You can replace these with whatever you like, but that's just an example of it's received the word horn and it is now responding to that. Otherwise, I've set this up so that we have an up arrow if it receives the word up, down arrow if it receives the word stop. It's just going to clear what's already on the screen of the microbit. And that's pretty much it. So if you are making a project where you are wanting to control a robot and you want to make it move forwards with the up arrow, this is the section that you would start to give it instructions with servo blocks to make it drive forward, for example. If you're wanting to make it turn right or wave an arm or something like that, you would use your servo block in here and it will correspond with the instruction that you've given it. Down at the very bottom are the two sliders. So while this looks awfully scary and complex, it's not really that bad. So all it is doing is it is waiting for or looking out for firstly the letter that each of these sliders is sending. Remember, they're sending a letter and a value. So basically the first part here goes, I'm looking for just the letter X, and I'm ignoring all the numbers. And then if it does hear the letter X, it's going to basically chop out the X from the message and just retain the numbers, so 0 through to 180, because it's the numbers that we would need to do things like controlling a servo motor. And it's saving it temporarily into a variable called xSlider. So this on its own doesn't actually do anything. It's when you start to add instructions to it, such as moving a servo. So if I want to use the slider to control the servo, I'll need to use a servo right block, and then I want to use the slider as the value. So this is basically, it's looked up that yes, we've got the letter X message coming in. We're taking only the sub part of that message, the number, and then we're saving it into that variable, which we can then use that variable to assign an instruction for a servo motor. Now we could use it for something else. If we don't want to control a servo motor, maybe we want to plot a bar graph of the value. So instead of it moving a servo, we want to light up the microbits LEDs on the front, and we're using that same number. We're telling it its maximum is 180, and it would, if it gets the number 180, such as this, it's going to light up all the lights on the screen. If it gets a 0, all the lights will be off, and that would be halfway. Lastly, we could also use it instead to set the volume of the microbits speaker. So again, we would want to use the number stored in the variable as our amount here to set the volume. Now that's just 3 particular ways you could use it. Typically you're probably going to usually use it to control a servo, but creativity is, this is a tool for creativity, and you might choose to do it with something else. So that has been a quick overview of the remote control template code. You've been able to see what the program does when it connects, when it starts, if it's disconnected, and how it's able to interpret the messages from the app in order to output specific instructions for a microbit. So you're going to replace or add to each of these sections here, with which corresponds with what you want your robot to do. The last step in this is to connect your microbit. So within the app there is a little icon up in the top right corner here that allows you to connect your microbit, and I need to plug mine in before I can turn it on. And you'll see it appears here, and then you can pair it. And then once it's paired, you'll see a smiley face on your microbit as per this part of the code, and you can now start to send it instructions that it will enact. And you can hear my microbit buzzing there because I clicked on the horn. So happy coding, and I can't wait to see what wonderful creations you come up with.